ahead and we'll start for Teaching Tuesday.
All right, so I know Caroline had a question. Do you want to go through the translation question that you had, Caroline?
Why don't you check it with Audrey and see if they do, and if Matt's coming, if they do, because my question isn't a quick question, right? So
Okay.
I don't want to
Yeah.
lose there.
So Caroline, go ahead, Audrey.
Sorry, I'm just jumping in. Matt and I have not spoken today, so I don't have anything that I don't want to try and figure out first.
Okay.
I don't know whether or not he's planning to jump on or if he has a question, because we haven't talked recently. But I do have a couple issues, but I want to take a...
You want to talk them through with Matt first?
Well, I want to try it myself.
Okay. Well, yeah, don't be afraid to ask if you just want to have a direction, but it's okay if you, it's up to you which way you want to go with that.
If we have time, maybe I'll ask at the end.
Sure.
If we just end up staring at each other with no question.
Okay. Sounds good. So Caroline, I think that means that it's your baton.
Okay, so essentially, I'm just, so the concept of translating an interview, I think there are two ways. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I exported an interview. We got it in a spreadsheet. We have a spreadsheet back. So what I couldn't really understand is, it seems like there are a number of ways to do a translation for an interview. And I looked at Made and it looked like you did both ways for Made. So I'm not quite sure what it is we want to do, because there seems to be a way that you can have the interview open by default in one language or the other, because it reads the language that the user is already using in the browser. It looks like you could have one interview that has different translations. It looks like you can copy that interview and translate it. And so you'd have two interviews, one's in one language, one's in another language. It looks like you can go to the English interview always and then pick the language that you want. And so there's that whole sort of conceptual thing, which I'd be interested to see how you do these different things. And then the other issue is, say you were going to do, what I really want to do is just, in my mind, you'd have one interview. You wouldn't have multiple interviews. You'd have one interview, but you would have it by default, maybe not the browser, but it would start in one, maybe you could do a URL or something, so that, because really this is for the Guide Me and the Legal Resource Finder. We have it in English. So if you're on a Spanish page, you're on the Spanish Legal Resource Finder and the Spanish Guide Me, we just want the Spanish to show up, and not with an option to go to English. And the other part of that is, of course, we have templates, both as Word templates and MDs. What do you do about those? Because those are translated as well. So that's my whole big picture of translation.
That's a lot. I haven't dealt as much with the attachment thing, but I think I know where to start for that. So we could probably find the right page of documentation.
Okay.
But let me show you what Made does. And partly what's going on with when you were looking at it is, you noticed the Excel file translation system didn't exist when I first worked on Made.
Oh, I see.
Jonathan made it for us to use. So there's the old translation file in there that's not used, which just reminded me I should go in and delete it, because it's not being referenced anywhere anymore. It's just kind of hard to do that through the playground, so I just hadn't done it yet. So what I do is what I think what you're saying with the link. So I can show you how that works. Like if I go to Portuguese.
So you're not embedded. That was just, you went to the Portuguese. Okay, so you went straight to the Portuguese interview, right? So yeah, okay.
And you see there at the bottom, is appended to the URL language equals PT.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Got it.
And
Okay.
so when I click that, it starts. And that's looking at the URL parameters. The interview, when it runs, it looks through the URL parameters for the language, lang parameter, and then it makes use of it if it's there.
Sorry, can you just say that? What's looking for the
This interview has to look for that URL parameter, and it pulls that in. And
So when
okay. Yeah. So it's not like a built-into Docassemble thing, but it's
Just
pretty straightforward.
To check in, are you familiar with what URL parameters are, Caroline?
they're the things that come after the URL, like the
Yeah, after
number
the
one or
question
the
mark and
yeah.
things like that. It's after a question mark, actually. So-
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
So and then I've put this little language bar here too, which allows you to switch dynamically.
Right.
So, and that uses a different system.
Yeah.
So that runs a Docassemble action actually to change the language dynamically. And there's some interesting language bugs. So like, yeah, these don't work. It's a bug with how the markdown works. In every language, they work in some, but not all of them. And then this section label on the left, you'll notice it didn't get translated into some of the languages, but in Spanish it is. You have to use the old style translation system for that. It's not part of the Excel file that you can pull in. So we could jump into like
Word, correct? That's using the Word function?
No.
It is not. No. It's using a feature that lets you set the language of an individual block in.
Okay. Okay.
So let's jump to that little bit of the code so you can just see it. And I guess I'll try to zoom it in so it's a little bit more helpful for people looking at it later, especially. All right.
Okay.
So here, let me see, order-wise, I'm gonna have to remind myself where it is here. So these are the translation spreadsheets. That's the main language of a page, comes from these, which that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And here is where you need a block like this to set the language. It has to be an initial block. Forget the exact reason why, but I think it needs to run before anything else gets generated, basically.
So does that, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
And here is where I look for the URL argument. So that only gets checked once because there's nothing that will be running.
Is that the parameter checking?
Yes,
when
this
you
is
say
where
look for the URL argument. Okay, so if I were gonna, right, so if on the Spanish page, you were gonna say, docassemble dot, whatever it is, guide me. And then you had language equals ES. I can't remember what the URL was, but that's the bit. And this is the piece that looks for that.
Exactly.
The little bit at the end. Okay.
And that will basically, that's to set the first language. And then this is that dynamic piece. It's an event that runs and sets the language based on what the person put into the link they clicked on in the interview.
Great. Okay. All right. So even though that's where I got confused, because I thought I don't want them to have to pick it only once they get into the interview. But this little bit, the event change language code, that's the bit that, given the URL, establishes what language the interview starts in.
No, so it's actually, this is the one that sets it from the beginning, based on which URL you share with somebody.
Oh, this is the URL. Okay. Oh, and this is the one that allows you to change it once you're in it.
This is the one that lets you change it dynamically. Yep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Misunderstood. Okay. But it's clear now. Okay. Got it.
This is, let me see here. The sections I think are in so the eviction.es.yaml doesn't get used anymore. I just should delete it.
That's the old one. Okay.
Like I said,
gotcha. Yeah, I was a little confused. And that I saw you had also another block there you have with languages. It lists the languages. It's the third one after that. Is it where? Yeah, that is it. It's that one right there. Get language list. Get tuples. Is that? Do we need that block?
This was, I think, just a test.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be able to just test that list. So this get language list
Yeah.
is what shows that list of clickable links to change the
Oh, I
language.
see the sub question. Oh, but you need that. So, right?
If you want that in your interview.
Yeah, if people decide they want to change. But they can only do it on the first screen, right? They don't do that all the way through. You don't get that.
I actually ended up adding that so it's on every interview in the I think it's in
right.
the pre part of the PRE
Okay.
screen part. So it does
Okay.
show on every screen.
So
except
that's
for
the
the first
screen
one.
part. All right, great.
Yeah. The thing you need to do if you want to change the navigation on the left, but I don't think those guide me's don't use navigation, do they?
I don't think so, no, because they're very short. They're just 2 questions or something. 2 or 3
If they do, you need to set that language
I
of the
see that.
section block.
Got it. Great.
And you see like I commented out language English because
Mhm.
then it didn't work in the other languages until I translated all of the languages. So
Oh.
I didn't want to, so I hadn't sent these over originally when we
Yeah.
did the translation. So I didn't update those. I didn't want to just use Google Translate to translate them because
No,
I didn't
yeah.
have any errors there.
Yeah.
So I should really go back and add the rest of the languages, but I haven't done that yet. So that's the big picture. And I think you already know how to get the translation Excel sheet.
Yeah. You put
That
it.
get language list is just a little function I wrote, which you could download from here, from Made. There's just a really small module file which has it. And it's just the reason I wanted to have a horizontal list that read across the page to
Yeah.
let people read the list of languages.
So it says connect G Sheets data. Oh no, I was looking
It's
at
the
the
wrong
wrong
module
Oh,
file.
I see,
Here's the
gotcha.
one here,
Okay, gotcha.
just language.py. So you could get this. And if you wanted to add other languages, you'd have to edit this
Gotcha.
little thing here. I just added the ones I was really using.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh my God, so good.
So you could just copy that module otherwise. We should put that into the assembly line, but we didn't have enough. I think the only one that uses it might be actually already in the CDC moratorium because I think I used the same code for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So you could probably copy it from there, maybe more simply, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. What about attachments?
Oh, right, attachments. So attachments, I think you do the same way where you use that modifier on the block. So if you want to have the attachment only be used in one language,
Oh, I see, yeah.
you use like language ES or language EN on the block. So
on the attachment block itself.
Yeah. So that modifier for language can work on almost any block in the YAML.
All right. And it would be a separate, right, they're separate. So for each language, you have a separate block, of course, right?
A separate attachment block. Yep.
No, I can't remember how. Okay, that's great. I'm going to try this. And then that way okay, because they're separate attachments, so the file names can be different. Wow, exactly. Quentin, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's really nice how well integrated translation is into DocAssemble. I really think it's a pretty nice advantage it has.
Yeah, yeah.
You can double check something if there's more to the translation template situation. Let me just check and see if there's anything else here. I would say it here probably.
Letter underscore ES, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this is one way to do it.
Yeah. Here's your document section file name. So you call, oh, right. Get language is what you use. And you keep, I remember reading this before. Yeah, that's right. So I did that. So I named all our all our file names are the same, except they have the, whatever that international, whatever you call the 2-letter thing that represents the language.
Code. Language code, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is another way to do it, I guess, where you actually have a different file name using a standard and you do it with code.
That makes sense. It's a little bit shorter. It's your YAML
Yeah.
shorter, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, because the rest of it's the same. Although you might want to translate other things like the name of the document, not just the.
Oh.
Although that might be, I don't know if that would get translated through the Excel spreadsheet. I don't think it would. Maybe it would.
Well, try it and see what happens.
Yeah. So check that
Okay.
out.
Okay.
One more thing you might run into is if you want to generate, doesn't really matter for your interview, but for other people who are watching this later, like if you wanted to translate the attachments, you didn't want them to be translated.
Oh,
Like
you want
to
just the
translate the
English.
interview, but it's a court
Yeah.
document and it always has to be in English.
Right.
I feel like this actually isn't working right, but you can set the language here on the attachment.
It's required. Oh, then
And
you
then-
wouldn't change. Then you wouldn't use the language, the get language function. Yeah.
This would be for like things that use the language or locale in the interview. So inside the document, I mean, like the date formatting functions,
Oh.
those will be in Spanish if the interview is in Spanish, but they shouldn't be. If you just use the default format of the date, at least. I mean, if you write out the specific date format, that wouldn't happen anyway, but I actually don't think this is right. So let me see.
To go back and look at that.
Yeah. That's just another thing to be aware of when you want to keep your language of the document English and the user interview is in a different language.
Right.
Just check out things like date formats to make sure they're right. And I think it's on the right track, but I also think it worked at one point, but doesn't anymore. So that might have changed, or it might have never worked. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've seen Spanish formatted dates in the files.
Okay.
So they shouldn't really be.
I don't know if David's just hearing or if he's not here. Is David the person who uploads this interview? I mean, this Teaching Tuesday?
I am the person who uploads this Teaching Tuesday.
Can I ask you to do this today? Please?
Yeah, no, we can do that.
Thank you.
It might be late today. We can do it.
No, I'm not going to get till late today or tomorrow morning anyway, but I'll forget it. And I haven't been taking notes, and I'll work on it, but I'd really like to have it to look back at. I was supposed to do this a while ago. I haven't asked. Thank you. Well, that makes it look so much less terrifying, Quentin, to actually have the visual aid to go along with Jonathan's documentation. Doesn't look too hard, actually. Looks great. So I know Audrey has a question. I've got another question, which I'm hoping is fairly straightforward, but I'm not used to Python and modules. I was wondering if you could look at a syntax error for me and tell me why it's not working.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Okay. What's this? Oh, that's the thing. Okay. Oh, here it is. So this is the long, and this is actually an assembly line's interest as well, because this is the long awaited, desired, and needed standalone financial statement that Lily did, and I have not gone through for plain language editing and readability, et cetera. And I'm about to do that with Katie Milton's help. But as soon as I pulled it from Lily's GitHub, I get this error. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not pulling no, that's the only one there is. So I clicked run, and I tried it both ones, and I get this indentation error. Expected an indented block on line 98 in the dbd income.py. So I went there. Folders. And it's this. Oops. It's this right here, I think.
Yeah.
And So I'm not, so, but she's got others in here that look like they have the same indentation. I misread it, so I outdented all of them to this. And I think if I look here, this is the other one I did. Wait a minute. Modules. And I got that error. This is what she had. 2690. Yeah. So these are indented. These are two different projects. So these are indented more than these, right? Those are only two.
Yeah.
These are four. And they seem to match these, and maybe we just haven't hit that error yet. But I don't know I don't know how to fix this.
Well, it's actually not line 98. That's the problem. It's 96. So it looks like that doesn't do anything anymore, actually.
This
You must have used to have a type or kind parameter that got removed. And maybe that was part of the merge that really shouldn't have been merged.
I see.
So once you delete that, I think it will be fine.
I wondered about the if statement for a list, but I thought, well, maybe who knows? It's a mystery.
My guess is maybe that function used to take a parameter that was the kind.
I don't know. I haven't looked at 2 years or something. Poor Lily.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. All right.
That fixed it. Okay. Does it run? Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you so much. That was all I needed so far. We'll see. So fingers crossed, we'll get this readability, plain language stuff done that Katie Milton's going to help me with. And we'll have a freestanding financial statement. Knock on wood, right?
That's
that
great.
would be fantastic. Yeah. That's me, done.
Audrey, do you want to start to look at your questions? Even if I know you said you wanted to work on them on your own, but maybe we could just talk them through a little bit.
It's pretty simple for you, I'm sure. I'm working on the project that I started in boot camp. It's a tenant appearance.
Mhm.
And there's an auto-generated screen about the docket number. There's one screen that says, do you have a docket number for this case? If you say yes, it goes to a screen where you enter the docket number, and it says, click below to add. If you have more than one docket number, click below to add. And our subject matter experts said there's no reason that they would ever have more than one. I'd like to, so I went in and I overrode, I thought I overrode the source. Yeah, I got the code from the source on the screen. I put it in the YAML file. I overrode the language, taking out the option to add more than one, but the button remains at the bottom for add one more. I would click below to add another docket number.
Mhm.
And there's one line of code. And when I comment it out, then I get the screen that I want to, but then I get an error because it's looking for something like docket. I think it's like looking for a list of docket numbers or something. It's, and I hadn't gotten beyond that. So I identified the issue. I haven't tried to fix it yet, but I got the error and I think I know what it's pointing to. So I just don't know what to do next. But I was going to give it a little bit of time this afternoon to start playing around with things. I've had some success lately actually fixing things by myself.
That's great.
So Michelle must be relieved that I'm not banging away on Teams. How do you do this? So anyway, that was the issue that I'm working with.
Audrey, I know you want to figure it out for yourself, but if you showed us and we figured it out in the interview, that means all the people that want to go look at Teaching Tuesday interviews wouldn't have to figure it out on themselves. They could actually get walked through it. But I don't want to take that limbic system reward away from you if that's what you really need.
No, that's fine.
We can also talk about how to figure out a problem like it, as opposed
Yeah.
to just showing you the solution.
The answer to
If
that.
that would be helpful.
Okay, so do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, that's, I think, definitely the best way.
Okay, didn't have it open because I wasn't prepared to do this, but this is the, I better run it. 'Cause I don't know where it is exactly. I've had to override a lot of the automatically generated screens because this number 3 mentioned how to e-file, and that's not an option yet.
Mhm.
So I left this. I did edit it because I wanted to put in an example, and the subject matter expert thought that the user wouldn't recognize the term docket number. She
Mhm.
wanted me to, explain that as a case number. So this is the screen as it is now. It had some more language about if you have more, press add another. So I took that out, but I want to actually remove the button itself. And I was able to do that successfully. Let me see what line number it is down here. Line 241, when I commented that out, it worked. But then I got that error message. So it's this list collect true. So that gets rid of it. But if I put in that, then I get an error that it's looking for, is there another? There is another.
Yeah, well, that's good reasoning. You hit on the exact right issue, which is it's trying to gather a list of docket numbers. So there are a couple of choices you could make. One would be to say there's a list of just one item, so it doesn't try to look for another one. You could, there's actually a different built-in question for docket number, singular, that doesn't try to gather a list.
Okay.
So you could just change it to look for that variable instead.
That would be easiest, probably.
But on the other hand, you've customized the look of all this question, so maybe it's easier just to make it a list with one item. So it's up to you.
Okay. No, well, yes.
Do you want to try that? Try making it a list with just one thing?
Sure.
All right, so let's look at our objects block. I think you have one in here already, probably. And not this one, but one near the top that set the number of users. That would be the place. Here we go. So we're going to make docket numbers a DA list.
Is it underscore or?
Yes. And you can see here, like you've set that there's only one user on line 60. You want to have the same after the name of the object type. You're going to have the same dot using block that you have for users where there's just one user. So you could copy that and put that exactly there. Just copy and paste that. So you'll need the dot using there as well after DA list and before the parentheses. And that's a doc symbolism. It just says it's just a short way for it to pass the parameters. So it needs a C there before the T.
Where?
Wait, no, it doesn't. Never mind. I was like, there was something wrong. It was just extra E. But now it's right.
Okay, so should I do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, do I need?
You'll have to start it as a save and run.
I commented out that line that's looking for a list. Do I want that back as active again?
You should be good now because it's still looking for, it's going to look for exactly one item in the list. So that will work for one item and it won't try to look for that there as another anymore.
I've been asking all these questions. I realize I've been muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, that works then. Great.
So if you say, no, I don't have a docket number, does that sets ask number for that object to false? Or does
That's
it
a great
set it to 0?
I think it sets it to, can we go back on screen? Was there a question about the?
Yeah, that's what I
docket
was just
number?
looking for. Do you have a docket number? I don't see
It's
that
not-
now.
Oh, okay, I see, I know
Mm.
why. It's because we've set,
We've already told them they have a docket number.
we told it there is a docket number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering. You want to say, can you do it without ask number?
Well,
Or-
don't they have to? See, this is the part that, and I don't practice, so I don't know, but a tenant is responding to the landlord and tenant writ, which hopefully they have in front of them with this, all this information that this interview requires. So
That does make sense.
can you
Mhm.
file an appearance in an existing case without a docket number?
Depends on in Massachusetts, the answer would be yes, but the clerk might yell at you depending on what
Yeah,
case
I
type
know
it is.
those clerks in Massachusetts. Okay, so,
In Massachusetts, also, you don't have a docket number when the case is first. When you receive the court paperwork, the summons, it doesn't have a docket number on it yet, which is
Ah.
different to a lot of other states. I know it's a weird
Yeah.
system. You get served before the case is filed, so there's no docket number assigned to it yet.
oh, that's interesting. So that would explain the question, do you have one? So should I put that back in then? I know they cut a lot of slack for pro se litigants in New Hampshire, so maybe they will accept it without a docket number.
I don't know. Let's look at that question though, because you copied it into your own playground, right? So we could look at it and edit it a little bit and have it do the same thing. So take out the target number equals 1, because we basically were going to say target number could be 0 or 1, right?
So you
Just
just want me
delete
to,
that part or copy it, I guess, maybe cut it. And delete the extra comma there. I don't think it will cause a problem, but
okay.
so now let's find that question that set docket numbers dot there are any. You had a question that did that. Docket underscore numbers dot there are.
Oops, I could
There we
say
go.
that. Okay.
And let's see. Let's make a new code block that uses that. There's no reason to not reuse that.
Right
And
here.
we'll use that to set the target number. Yep, right there is good.
That's always so jarring when that happens. It jumps like that.
So we're going to say if docket numbers dot there are any, target number is going to be 1. Otherwise, target number is going to be 0.
Okay, I already have something on my clipboard that I took from the objects block above. Are you going to remember what that was? Oh, I can
Yep.
copy it from the above line. That's right.
So comes next.
What was the rest of it? Sorry.
Yeah, so now put a colon. And so, we're gonna have a new indented block. And we're gonna set docket numbers dot target underscore number now. Docket numbers dot
Oh,
target
yeah.
number.
Target, what was it? Sorry.
Underscore number. And so if there are docket numbers, what's the target number going to be?
1.
Yeah,
Is
So
that in
just equals-
parentheses?
just equals 1. And then a new line and an else. So back up 1 level. And then it's going to be set to 0 if there are none.
Literally what, set to 0?
Sorry, so the same as 238, except it's going to be a 0 instead of a 1.
Oops. Okay.
And you have a small typo in docket numbers. Okay, I think that should do it now. You'll see that question. And if you don't like that, you can switch back to setting target number in the question. What I don't know is I think it's going to be a new save and run in order for you to see it, but yeah. With changes in the objects block, that usually does run pretty early, so you might need to do a new save and run.
There it is. Great, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, you whizzed through everybody's questions that fast, Quentin. That's amazing.
Let's see. Did you want to, Audrey, you asked a question yesterday saying you didn't want to go in the direction, but do you want to?
No, they've abandoned that whole thing.
They abandoned that whole idea. Okay.
They decided that the tenant shouldn't fill out that form without legal advice. So it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, no problem. Well, maybe we're just done early. That's okay. We can be efficient.
There's 9 million other things that we could get on with.
It'll make it quicker to upload the video.
Yeah.
You know, I just realized there is, well, it's not going to really be what we want. Never mind.
What?
There's like a stream to YouTube option.
Oh, we want to be able to cut out all the obscenities and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe what you could do is stream it unpublished and then publish it if it's good, and it might save us.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we could also use the cloud recording for Zoom and then make it available. But yeah, we should reconsider that at some point. We didn't do that originally because their servers weren't able to handle the original onslaught of everyone using Zoom, but probably, I mean, they've obviously adapted.
That's true.
Reconsider or modify.
I have another question. It's real quick. Just a couple of weeks ago, maybe, or maybe last week, we talked about the screen reader.
Mm-hmm.
And there was going to be an update. I'm getting ready to publish these interviews, or at least one of them, not this one that I just showed you, but another one. And when I ran it yesterday, the screen reader had no audio. I don't know if that's something that everybody's updating or working on, or I don't know. Or is that what we've already downloaded onto the Ileo server that we'd have to tinker with?
I think that probably you just need to set up there's an API for the screen reader that you have to register for separately. It's free.
Okay.
And it has, I mean, in theory, you could run into its limit if you had a lot of users and different interviews, but DocAssemble, like, it'll save it when one person uses it. So even having a lot of users of one interview won't cause you to reach the limit.
Okay.
So I think that's the problem. It's just you need to set up that API key for.
Is that something that Matt would do on the server level?
It is a server level thing, yes.
Oh, okay, because we're using space on Ileos right now.
I'll show, just so it's on the recording, I'll show where it is so people can see it later. So this is the service that we're using. They've actually updated their website quite a bit to make it a lot more user-friendly. And the free tier, I think, was more generous before, but I've still never had a problem with it. You get 350 daily requests. DocAssemble stores each request in on the server, so it's not being run twice for the same interview, even if 2 different users are using it. But actually, these are very inexpensive plans anyway. So if you needed to go up to 20,000 requests a day, $40 a month is not really that bad. And then you would just register for the free API. And where do you actually get it? Maybe by logging in is where you also register. Yeah. So you just, it's a very easy process to do, and then you add it to your configuration file. And that is documented pretty well on the DocAssemble configuration page. So you
Somebody was asking me the other, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Somebody was asking me the other day about screen readers, and because this is all based on some IBM research. I mean, I think that all this text to speech, there's like a machine that IBM and somebody else did, and they only did it for certain languages. And all the other text to speech technology is based on the stuff that IBM and somebody else, that, like, I don't know who it was, but big business. So they didn't do languages that big businesses are exploiting, right? So, and when I did this research quite a few years ago, somebody was saying, I don't think, it might have been Swahili is the best one to use. The Swahili reader is the best one to use for Vietnamese, or it was something like that.
Oh,
and I think you said French is good for Haitian Creole. So I'm just wondering what, do we have, so, I mean, like Khmer / Cambodian, that probably isn't even in this list.
Let's see, yeah. Some languages are not, so that's the one downside to this list.
Right.
Well, but it's actually quite comprehensive if you.
So they have Vietnamese, which is great.
Yeah, I remember this list being shorter before, I think, but yeah. So what you could do is basically like for a Creole that's not supported, you can say which voice you want to use for that language.
Which voice? Sorry.
So
you mean
on the left is the actual language code. On the right is the voice.
I gotcha.
That you want it to correspond to, I think, from what I remember. That's how this works. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Since so we do, we don't use, we had ZHT is what we used instead of ZHCN, HK, or TW. So I just set ZHT to be using the ZHCN voice, I think. Are you like the same thing? You just basically say the voice you want to use, and then for Haitian Creole, it didn't have a voice, so I just have it phonetically read it as if it's a French voice.
Yeah, basically it's reading Haitian Creole with a French accent, essentially. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Not just accent, but it'll pronounce the vowel sounds and everything the same way. The consonants, like all the phonemes are the same. They just are making different words.
Yeah.
Combinations of letters.
Yeah.
That is what I was the best I could figure out.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if that's
that
really
sense.
accurate, but
yeah. Well, it's more than nothing, right? And it's not going to be wrong. I mean, I think that's the other thing is I don't think it's going to be. It's not like translation can be wrong. It's pronunciation is wrong, which actually I think in Chinese it can be wrong. Come to think of it, that if you use the wrong pitch, but who knows, right?
True. That's true. Yeah, and then I guess the thing is Chinese, written language, and it won't respect whatever dialect they speak, even though it could have, because they could read the symbols in that other language exactly, and they'd be correct.
Yeah.
That's a downside, but
still, you get a lot for this.
Exactly. Yeah, they just say Chinese, so I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that means Mandarin, but
yeah, who knows, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's an example where it's symbol based, where it's not really just you couldn't use the wrong voice. It has to be the right voice. But for the other ones, the wrong voice but the right letters, you get something like what it means. It's close enough. Yeah, there are other language systems that I was like looking into because I wanted to do one that wasn't supported, and and I decided with making those changes, it was close enough. So I don't remember what we did exactly, but I looked at some other options. There weren't ones that were better than Voice RSS that I could find at the time, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's great that this stuff evolves and gets better, but it sucks that every 5 years you got to go back and do all the research you did before again.
Well, every year, basically, it could all be out of date.
Yeah, you should do it every year, but you know, exactly.
Yeah. Audrey, did that give you some directions? Do you want me to reach out to Matt or about any of this, or is this clear enough for how to set up the Voice RSS?
I'm going to meet with him tomorrow at some point, and I can just have, if this is going to be posted quickly, I could refer him to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
All right. Well, maybe this is the end. It's hard to say goodbye, but
Maybe.
all right. We'll see
You're muted,
everybody
Caroline, but
later this week or next
you
week.
get the sentiment.
Thank you
All
for
right,
your help.
Thanks. Yeah,
You're welcome.
that was great. Bye.